Now for a view from the Hill. Let's go to Senator Sherrod Brown. He's a Democrat from Ohio. Let's listen to this. I guess we're not going to listen to it. Let's go right now to you, Senator. The question is, should the president deal with the Republicans and compromise on taxes and other issues, or should he just throw up his hands and say, I'm going to straight arm you guys, I got the power, you don't? What should be his approach?
Well, I don't. It depends on what, how you ask the question. Do you want the president to sit and negotiate, and get nowhere when you've got a Republican leader in the Senate that says his major goal in the next 2 years is to see Obama not get reelected, and when they are not willing to move off on their tax cut for the rich at all, for millionaires and billionaires? I think the president, I'm fine with him talking to him for a couple of days and trying to work this out, but I want to see this middle-class tax cut extended, and I want to see us see the expire for upper income people, like the president said.
But who doesn't want the middle class tax cut extended? You're on the side of the angels with that, baby. My question to you, and this is the cutting question: it's Christmas Eve, and the Republicans are saying we're not going to let you get a bill through the Senate. You're not getting the 60 votes. You're not getting the vote on the other body unless you give us the full tax cut. What would you say if you were sitting in the White House? No way, Jose. What would you say?
I'd say no way, Jose. I'd say we should keep those. We should keep the Senate and House in session, continuing again showing them that we're for extending the tax cuts for the middle class, but not for millionaires and billionaires. And then Republicans eventually flinch come January, and because in the end, 70% of the public knows that in the end Republicans are there for the rich. I mean, they're the party that always protects the wealthiest people in our country. Do a showdown and say to the public, say to the country, we're not going to let the Republicans hold this middle class tax this middle class tax hostage on behalf of the rich. And eventually, I think the Republicans give in on this.
Yeah, you're right about the rich. People think the Republicans are out for the rich, but most Republicans aren't rich, as you know. And number two, your party doesn't have a whole lot of street cred on cutting taxes. Most people know Democrats believe in government. They know government costs money. They're not the tax cutters. They don't play that game the Republicans play all the time about. So do you think you've got the cred to go into Christmas Eve and say to the American people, we're fighting for the middle-class tax cut, and you're going to believe us?
Well, first, I don't agree with that presumption, Crispin. I understand you're saying that, but that was sort of, that was years ago. It's Democrats that cut taxes with the Recovery Act. 40%, almost 40% of those Recovery Act dollars, if you will, were tax cuts for a huge swath of the middle class. That's what we did. That's what Clinton did, by and large, in the 90s on several different cases. I mean, we do that as Democrats. The Republicans sing it better. They read off the page to mix a metaphor better, perhaps, but we're actually doing it. And I think the answer is yes. The public, you got to draw a bright line. It's really whose side are you on? The Republicans are on the side of millionaires and billionaires. We're on the side of the middle class. I think there's no better way to show that than this tax vote.
Well, here's a guy that's not afraid to say he's on the side of the millionaires. Here's Eric Cantor of Richmond, Virginia, on the Today Show this morning, talking tax cuts for the very rich. Here he is defending their cause with Matt Lauer. Let's listen.
What you're telling me is no compromise whatsoever on the Bush-era tax cuts.
Well, listen, Matt, one or two things is going to happen in January. Either taxes go up or they stay the same. Nobody's getting a tax cut here. So there's no compromise or not on that particular issue.
Well, what do you make of that? I mean, he's certainly squirreling around there a bit. I mean, what do you think he's talking about? It's not a tax. Look, the bottom line is that the American people are going to have their taxes go up in January. If the Republicans, you're saying, hold out for the rich, that'll happen, because it ain't going to happen. But you're saying they're going to buckle.
Yeah, Congressman Cantor either failed English class or failed logic class or failed history class, because these tax cuts for the rich that Bush did twice, Chris, in 01 and 03, as you know, resulted in very little economic growth. We saw only 1 million jobs created in the Bush years, 22 million created in the Clinton years, when we reached a balanced budget with a fairer tax system. And there's no real history illustrating that these tax cuts for the rich result in jobs. It's extending unemployment benefits that creates economic activity, that creates jobs, not giving a millionaire an extra $10,000 or $20,000 or $30,000 in tax cuts that they likely won't spend because they're already buying what they're going to buy anyway.
You're the best there is in this argument. I got to ask you one last question. What B does John Kyle have in his bonnet that he wants to bring us back to the Cold War? Why does this guy want to? Is he in bed with the craziest of the neocons? Why does he want to kill this treaty with the Soviet Union, with the former Soviet Union, and bring it back to the Soviet Union? What is this guy up to? And how can one man screw a treaty with the Russians?
Well, I think it's because Mitch McConnell put the talking points under his door that simply said most important thing is to see Barack Obama fail and not be reelected. They don't want Barack Obama to have a foreign policy victory. All the major Republicans in this country, those that are out of office now, most of them, all the former secretaries of state and all that, they think we should pass this. It's good for Russia. It's good for Russian-American relations. It's good for strengthening the moderates in Russia instead of strengthening the hardliners like Putin, and it's good for our relations with Israel because it will help us deal with the nuclear threat in Iran. I mean, this is a winner all the way around, except McConnell and Kyle don't want Barack Obama to have a win. It's as simple as that, Chris.
So bottom line, Kyle is his Charlie McCarthy. He's speaking for him, for Mitch McConnell.
Your words, but close enough.
It's an old reference. Anyway, thank you very much, Senator Sherrod Brown. Merry Christmas to you.